As you move through your 50s, you begin to realize something you may not have noticed before. Life becomes heavier when it becomes more complicated. The weight does not come from age. It comes from the accumulation of too many choices, too many plans, too many responsibilities, and too many voices telling you what you should do. Complexity does not enter your life suddenly. It builds quietly, one small commitment at a time, one financial product at a time, one habit at a time. And before you know it, the things that were meant to help you begin to drain you instead. This video is about understanding why complexity becomes dangerous after 50 and how simplifying your decisions can protect your time, your money, and your peace of mind. It is not about lowering your expectations. It is about raising the quality of the decisions you make from here on. When you were younger, complexity felt exciting. You had the energy to juggle many things. You had the time to recover from bad decisions. You did not feel the cost of mistakes as deeply. Trying something new felt harmless. You could afford to take chances, switch directions, try different paths, and experiment with ideas that looked interesting. Complexity felt like opportunity. But after 50, the relationship changes. Complexity is no longer adventure. It is risk. It is noise. It is confusion disguised as progress. And it is the space where most people make the mistakes that become expensive in this stage of life. The danger does not come from the complexity itself. It comes from the fact that complexity hides consequences. It hides fees. It hides commitments. It hides risk. It hides emotional decisions. It hides the truth behind layers of information that look serious, but are often meaningless. When something is too complex, you stop questioning it. You accept it because it looks impressive. And that is when problems begin. Financial decisions are the clearest example. When a product is simple, you understand what you are paying for. You understand what you are getting. You understand how it works. You understand what could go wrong. But when something becomes complex, your understanding weakens. And when understanding weakens, trust replaces clarity. Trust is not a strategy. Trust is a gamble. Many people over 50 lose money, not because they chose a bad option, but because they chose an option they did not fully understand. Complexity made it look safe. Complexity made it look smart. Complexity made it look official. But complexity does not protect you. Clarity does. The same pattern appears in everyday life. A complicated schedule looks productive, but quickly becomes overwhelming. A complicated plan looks impressive, but is difficult to maintain. A complicated lifestyle looks successful, but drains your energy. The real cost of complexity is not always money. Sometimes the cost is your peace. And after 50, peace becomes one of your most valuable assets. One of the reasons complexity becomes dangerous now is that it demands attention. It demands time. It demands energy. And at this stage of life, attention, time, and energy are limited resources. You cannot afford to waste them. Every hour spent managing unnecessary complexity is an hour taken from your health, your relationships, and your mental stability. People do not realize how expensive complexity truly is. They think the cost is in the decision itself. In reality, the cost is in the maintenance. Another danger is emotional overload. When things become too complex, your mind becomes more reactive. You feel pressure to make choices faster than you want to. You feel confused but pretend you understand. You say yes when you should say no. You rely on others to tell you what to do. This creates vulnerability. And vulnerability is a doorway to mistakes that were avoidable. Many people at 50 believe they need complex solutions because simple ones feel too ordinary. They think their problems are too specific or too advanced to be solved by simple principles. But the opposite is true. The more complex your situation is, the more desperately you need simplicity. Simplicity brings direction. Simplicity brings clarity. Simplicity brings control. And control is the foundation of confidence, especially in your 50s. The mind works better when there are fewer moving parts. You think more clearly. You make better decisions. You notice risks earlier. You spot patterns faster. Your emotions settle. And your judgment sharpens. A simple life does not mean a small life. It means a more intentional one. Simplicity protects your money. It protects your time. It protects your energy. And it protects you from your own emotional reactions. The fewer things you need to manage, the fewer opportunities there are for things to go wrong. People think success comes from adding more. In reality, lasting success comes from removing the noise that hides the important things. If you take a moment to reflect on your past mistakes, you will probably notice a pattern. The worst ones came from situations that were too unclear or too complicated. The deals you did not fully understand. The people whose intentions were confusing. The plans that required too many steps. The decisions you made quickly because you were overwhelmed. Complexity did not just make those mistakes possible. It made them invisible until it was too late. So how do you protect yourself? Now the answer is not to avoid everything. It is to understand yourself better. You need to know your limits. You need to know what drains you. You need to know what confuses you. You need to know when your mind begins to slip into autopilot. Once you see these things clearly, you begin to reduce complexity from your life without force, without pressure, and without guilt. Start by asking simple questions. Does this choice make my life heavier or lighter? Does this commitment give me energy or take it away? Do I understand this decision well enough to trust myself? Do I feel calm or tense when I think about maintaining this long-term? Answering these questions honestly will tell you more than any complicated method ever will. When you remove complexity, you gain something far more valuable than convenience. You gain space. Space to think. Space to breathe. Space to rest. Space to recover. Space to make decisions with clarity instead of fear. And when you have space, your life becomes easier to navigate. A calm mind sees opportunities clearly. A cluttered mind sees opportunities everywhere and misses the important ones. The goal after 50 is not to prove how much you can handle. It is to build a life you can maintain peacefully. It is to make choices that protect you instead of drain you. It is to create systems that work even on the days you feel tired. It is to move in a way that is quiet but powerful. Simplicity is not the opposite of ambition. It is the foundation of wisdom. Remember that nothing valuable in life becomes better by making it more complicated. Not your money, not your relationships, not your routines, not your decisions. The things that last are usually the things that are simple. When you reduce complexity, you reduce mistakes. And when you reduce mistakes, you create space for stability, freedom, and peace in the years ahead.